Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jezreel, and today we're going to be analyzing Gautier Capuçon's vibrato techniques. He is one of the greatest living cellists in the world today, and we can really learn a lot from watching him play. I've followed Gautier for a long time, and one really funny thing that I've noticed about him is how undeniably French he is. Everything about him, he's just so, ho ho ho, look at me. Even when he just plays his cello, it has this French quality to it. It sounds like a French accent that he's putting into the tone. Listen to this bit of the Thias meditation performance he did at the Eiffel Tower. That E with a juicy vibrato, it's just so perfect. Let's play it again. You know what it reminds me of? You know that song from Inception, the French song?
Non, rien de rien.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. They sound the same. Anyway, so let's check out some of his technique, because that's obviously what you're here for. The first thing that you'll notice about his vibrato is how perfectly symmetrical the wave pattern is. It's so well rounded and there's no harsh corners to it at all. Now look at this pinky vibrato that he's doing here. This is actually a pretty common technique for him. There isn't much of a rotation of the wrist. It's mostly just monodirectional movement. This means that his pinky finger in the knuckle right here must be really flexible and relaxed. You'll also notice the fact that he's playing a pretty shallow vibrato, and that is why these two fingers here are actually extended a little bit, because in an extended position like so, they're a lot more relaxed. If he had pulled those two fingers inward like so, he would be able to get a wider and faster vibrato. However, he doesn't need that. And pulling them in like so would actually cause a bit of tension. With every part of playing cello, if there is something that you can relax, then do it, because the least amount of tension possible is always going to be what you want. This is quite an interesting technique that Gautier uses quite often. As you can see, he's actually got two fingers on the fingerboard at the same time as he's doing his vibrato. The purpose of this, as this finger is pushed back against, it sort of springs the vibrato back and forth. So to do this technique effectively, what you want to do is you want to have your elbow slightly out to the side, a very gentle curve in the wrist, and then this finger right here, the third finger, should actually be relatively straight and just slightly bent at this knuckle. And you'll notice it sort of sits at a diagonal to the string. And the reason for that is because there's actually more space diagonally wise rather than side to side. And that means that there's more surface area that you can cover with your vibrato. Now the second finger is actually also quite important here. What's happening is this collapsed finger is creating a bit of a spring effect, and it kind of allows the vibration to naturally occur without a whole lot of effort. It also sort of guides the rotation of the vibrato so that it actually goes in the correct direction. If you take away that second finger and you do the same technique without the second finger, you still get a vibrato, but my vibrato is going this way, right? But as soon as I add that second finger, it changes the direction and makes it go up and down the string, which is actually going to create more distance. And the cool thing about it is the fact that this finger kind of increases the speed that you can actually play the vibrato at. Because of that spring effect, it wants to just bounce back and forth naturally. You don't really have to force it as much. You just want to keep in mind, these fingers have to be spaced apart ever so slightly. If they start rubbing against each other, it's going to create a little bit of a conflict. Pretty typical vibrato technique. You'll notice that his hand is sort of angled diagonally, and this allows extra surface area to be covered. You'll also notice that the pinky and the third finger are just kind of curled up right here. The reason for this is when you curl these two fingers up like this, it not only releases tension because they're simply relaxed in that position, it also changes the center of gravity. You see, if I put my fingers out like this, I have so much more weight all at the end. Imagine wielding a sword that's very skinny, right? it's pretty easy to wave a sword around, right? Even if it's pretty long. But imagine holding a hammer at the end of the handle and having the weight at the tip. And now suddenly this is very difficult to wield. Even though the hammer may be just as heavy as a sword, it's the distribution, it's the placement of the weight that changes your ability to manipulate it. So you notice with this second finger vibrato, he's got his fourth and first finger raised ever so slightly. I think the reason he does this is to create inertia that allows his vibrato to effortlessly be this sort of slow, wide whoosh sound. If he had put those fingers down and conserved the shape, right? Kind of the way that you would with the first finger, leaving these three fingers kind of at the side and curling up. If he did something similar, he would be able to have a quicker vibrato, but that's not what he's going for here. So you'll notice with this thumb position vibrato he's doing here, these two fingers are kind of curled up like so. The reason they're doing that is to change the weight distribution, like I've said before. It centers it on the actual path of the vibrato. If they were sticking out like so, then what would happen is the vibrato would get very, very wide and slow. It's much easier to increase the speed of the vibrato if these fingers are placed a little bit more in the path of the vibrato, rather than way off to the side, reducing the leverage of your actual movement. Okay, so the technique he's using here for his third finger vibrato is actually very similar to the technique I told you before. I really like using this vibrato. It's very, very stable to have three fingers on at the same time. It creates a really cool anchor that allows the vibrato to have a much more effortless path. It also adds that sort of spring effect like I told you before. The absolute fastest vibrato that I've ever been able to do above fourth position has been with three fingers. And it's a technique that I learned from Gautier. Well, that's all for today. If you'd like me to analyze the vibrato of other great cellists like Misha Maisky, Yo-Yo Ma, Daniel Shafran, Rostropovich, please just smash that like button. If this video gets 50 likes, I will absolutely make another one. And don't forget to comment below on who you'd like to see next. If you're interested in private lessons, I do guided practice sessions through Zoom. It's super affordable and helps you practice from home, giving you personalized guidance at the most convenient time, during daily practice. Head on over to houtscellacademy.com to learn more. Happy practicing.